Good morning. Welcome to Unity Longmont Spiritual Center on this beautiful morning. This morning we have Clint Brown to provide music. And so I'm going to go ahead and ask you, Clint, if you wouldn't mind starting with a piece of music, switch something around. If you could unmute yourself. There you go.
Kind friends all gather round. There's something I would say. What brings us together here has blessed us all today. Love has made a circle that holds us all inside. Strangers are as family and loneliness can't hide. Give yourself to love. Love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter. Give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Walk these mountains in the rain. Learn to love the wind. I've been up before the sunrise to watch the day begin. Always knew I'd find you, though I never did know how. Like sunshine on a cloudy day, stand before me now. Give yourself to love. Love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter. Give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Love is born in fire. It's planted like a seed. Love can't give you everything, but it gives you what you need. Love comes when you are ready. Love comes when you are afraid. It can be your greatest teacher, the best friend you have made. Give yourself to love. Love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter. Give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Give yourself to love.
Thank you, Clint. Now I invite everyone to enjoy this video.
Praise be the nurses and doctors, every medical staff bent over flesh to offer care, for lives saved and lives lost, for showing up either way. Praise for the farmers tilling soil, planting seeds so food can grow, an act of hope if ever there was. Praise be the janitors and garbage collectors, the grocery store clerks and the truck drivers barreling through long, quiet nights. Give thanks for bus drivers, delivery persons, postal workers, and all those keeping an eye on water, gas, and electricity. Blessings on our leaders making hard choices for the common good, offering words of assurance. Celebrate the scientists working away to understand the thing that plagues us, to find an antidote, and all the medicine makers. Praise be the journalists keeping us informed. Praise be the teachers, finding new ways to educate children from afar, and blessings on parents holding it together for them. Blessed are the elderly and those with weakened immune systems, all those who worry for their health. Praise for those who stay at home to protect them. Blessed are the domestic violence victims on lockdown with abusers, the homeless and refugees. Praise for the artists and poets, the singers and storytellers, all those who nourish with words and sound and color. Blessed are the ministers and therapists of every kind, bringing words of comfort. Blessed are the ones whose jobs are lost, who have no savings, who feel fear of the unknown gnawing. Blessed are those in grief, especially who mourn alone. Blessed are those who have passed into a great night. Praise for police and firefighters, paramedics, and all who work to keep us safe. Praise for all the workers and caregivers of every kind. Praise for the sound of notifications, messages from friends reaching across the distance. Give thanks for laughter and kindness. Praise be our four-footed companions with no forethought or anxiety, responding only in love. Praise for the seas and rivers, forests and stones who teach us to endure. Give thanks for your ancestors, for the wars and plagues they endured and survived. Their resilience is in your bones and your blood. Blessed is the water that flows over our hands and the soap that helps keep them clean each time a baptism. Praise every moment of stillness and silence so new voices can be heard. Praise the chants and slowness. Praise be the birds who continue to sing the sky awake each day. Praise for the primrose poking yellow petals from dark earth. Blessed is the air clearing overhead so one day we can breathe deeply again. And when this has passed, may we say that love spread more quickly than any virus ever could. May we say this was not just an ending, but also a place to begin.
So I'd like to read you a poem called All Are Welcome. Let us build a house where love can dwell and all can safely live. A place where saints and children tell how hearts learn to forgive. Built of hopes and dreams and visions, rock of faith and vault of grace, here the love of Christ shall end divisions. All are welcome, all are welcome, all are welcome in this place. Let us build a house where prophets speak and words are strong and true, where all God's children dare to seek to dream God's reign anew. Here the heart shall stand as witness and as symbol of God's grace. Here as one we claim the faith of Jesus. All are welcome, all are welcome, all are welcome in this place. Let us build a house where love is found in water, wine, and wheat, a banquet hall on holy ground where peace and justice meet. Here the love of God through Jesus is revealed in time and space as we share in Christ the feast that frees us. All are welcome, all are welcome, all are welcome in this place. Let us build a house where hands will reach beyond the wood and stone to heal and strengthen, serve and teach, and live the word they've known. Here the outcast and the stranger bear the image of God's face. Let us be an end to fear and danger. All are welcome, all are welcome, all are welcome in this place. And so it is. And Clint, if you would provide us with music, thank you.
Well, there's a lot going on these days. Earth Day was just this past month, and also the passing of a beloved songwriter and musician, John Prine. And I wanted to acknowledge him and just do one of his songs, which dovetails with Earth Day. Bet a lot of you know this. When I was a child, my family would travel down to western Kentucky, where my parents were born. To a backwoods old town, it's often remembered so many times that my memories are worn. Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River, where paradise lay? I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. Sometimes we would travel right down the Green River when abandoned on a prison down by Avery Hill, where the air smelled like snakes. We'd shoot with our pistols. Empty pop bottles was all we would kill. Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River, where paradise lay? Sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. When I die, let my ashes float down the Green River, let my soul roll on up to the Rochester Dam. Halfway to heaven, paradise waiting, 5 miles away from wherever I am. Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River, where paradise lay? Sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. Paradise, John Prine.
Thank you, Clint. So today we are looking at love, and it's a big, big subject. So I looked up different kinds of love, and thousands of years, the Greeks, who influenced all of Western civilization, determined that there were 6 different kinds of love. The first is eros, and we are familiar with that one. That's sexual passion, and they considered it irrational and being out of control. The next is philia, and that is a deep friendship. There's loyalty and willingness to sacrifice for others. And then there's storge, which is a part of philia, and that's the love between parents and children. There's another love called ludus, and that's playful love, and that's between children or casual lovers. And then the one we're probably most aware of is agape, and that's the love for everyone. That's the selfless love. And in Latin, the word for it is caritas, which means charity. And in Buddhism, the word for it is metta, which means loving kindness. It's the highest form of Christian love. And research has shown that in the last 40 years in our country, that particular love and empathy has been on a decline. So my personal hope and prayer is that this pandemic will enliven agape for all of us. Another form of love is pragma, and that's long-standing love. That's mature, it's realistic, people make compromises, it's patient, it's tolerant, And the effort there is to give love rather than receive love. And that is what you see in those elderly couples that have been together for a long time, and they've worked through so many challenges, and they have such deep trust and respect for each other. And then there's another kind of love called philatia, and it is the love of self. And there's an unhealthy version, which is narcissism. And then there's a healthy version, which is the enhanced capacity to love yourself, to have compassion for yourself. And Aristotle said, all friendly feelings for others are an extension of a man's feeling for himself. So out of that love for ourselves comes the love for others. Love ultimately is a mystery. God is love, and we experience that from time to time and long to experience it every moment. None of us, to the best of my knowledge, have ever experienced love the same way God does. That's a mystery. That's huge. So, how does love fit into this pandemic? Not only does it fit into this pandemic, but it's an important, vital piece of being alive at all times. And if we go to that understanding that we cannot love another if we don't truly love ourselves, we can employ different practices to help us do that. My favorite teacher of all times is Thich Nhat Hanh, and he talks about the metaphor of suffering, that if we take our suffering, and it's like a handful of salt, and we put it in a glass, you can't drink that glass of water. You can't use that glass of water for hardly anything. But if you take your suffering and you throw it into the river, the vast, moving, vital river, people can still swim in the river. They can still gather the water for laundry and drinking and cooking because it is so dispersed and transformed. So we are encouraged to share our suffering with others. And at the heart of doing that is the hope and the need for people to understand what we are experiencing. And that can only come when someone has been willing to sit with their own suffering, their own discomfort, their own longing and desires, and then they can understand us. So I think it's especially important at this time that we reach out, that we listen deeply to each other. There is a concept of hospitality that has been taught, that it's the opposite of hostility. All of us have hostility, and we may find that we have it toward ourselves or toward other people. And the cure for that hostility is to move into hospitality. And hospitality means affording someone the space to be truly who they are without us needing to change them in any way. And the magic that happens is when we provide that for another, they change. But we can't provide it to them with the hope of changing them. So there is a paradox there. When we feed and support our own happiness, then we are nourishing our ability to love. So at this time during the pandemic, when we're still somewhat isolated and separate, find what gives you happiness. Find that outdoor, that beautiful day, that image, that art, that music, that great conversation, whatever gives you happiness, because that then becomes a gift to others in our lives. Agape is the kind of love that is necessary for this, the kind of love that is necessary for us to understand other people's discomfort and problems, and to understand without any judgment about that. We're all human. We've all gone through so many of the same doubts and discomforts. So we need to, in this time especially, acknowledge what people are feeling, invite them to share, and to listen deeply. One of the challenges is if our parents did not truly know how to love each other, we may not have learned that as a child, but it's never too late to learn it. One of the things that Thich Nhat Hanh talks about is the greatest gift a parent can give to their child is the parent's own happiness. When my oldest daughter was 16 and I was going through a divorce and a lot of turbulence, she came in late at night to my bedroom and sat down and said, "Mom, I want you to know the greatest gift you can give me is your own happiness. Please take care of yourself." Oftentimes, especially I think when we're younger, we may get a crush on somebody. We just find ourselves obsessing about that person. And the reason we do that out of our humanness is to distract ourselves from our own internal discomfort. So we start to experience this person primarily as an object, and we're not truly loving them. Well, what makes us do that is that we all have a vacuum within, a sense of feeling empty because we're lacking something. And we don't know the cause, and it's very vague. We may not be aware of it all of the time, but we're always expecting and hoping for something to be better than this right now. And that may be happening a lot right now with the pandemic. It's natural for us to hope that we come out of this, that we move into something filled with grace. So what we need to do again with this emptiness is to truly understand ourselves, to spend some time in silence and quiet, and to acknowledge what's going on within us and recognize it as a deep thirst. And when we truly understand that, we recognize that this deep thirst is to be loved and to love. So anytime that we feel empty at this time, let us love and seek love. And one of the places we can go to, of course, is the divine. The divine is always there. The divine is always providing. But I know I personally get distracted and I forget that. So one of the purposes of suffering is to bring me back to that memory, to bring me back to that relationship. So we want to develop our own happiness. We want to share that happiness with other people. And that is the philatia love, the kind of love that's loyal and enduring. When you are in a deep relationship, the other person's suffering is your suffering. Your suffering is the other person's suffering. In therapy, we talk a lot about boundaries, and yet we are all interconnected. We are a part of everything. And because we're sensitive, we also pick up on the suffering of another. So it's important in deep relationships to be able to say, I'm here for you. I love you. So Thich Nhat Hanh has 4 miracle mantras that I use frequently. The first miracle mantra is, darling, I see you are still here. The second is, darling, I am still here. The third is, darling, I see you are suffering. And the fourth is, darling, I am suffering. And those 4 miracle mantras cover a lot of ground. And if you know Tay or Thich Nhat Hanh, he calls everyone darling. And that is such a term of affection. When I hear him say that, I hear him saying to someone, I see you, I know you, I understand you, and therefore I love you. So again, when we know someone is suffering, we have internally the capacity to bring them relief. We have the capacity to do that by deeply understanding what is the root of their suffering. And again, we come to that understanding through deep listening, through being still and quiet and allowing them to speak, and us being, as listeners, non-judgmental. Whatever they say, it's simply their experience right now. So the more we understand love and others and ourselves, the more we can provide love. The mind of love and the mind of understanding are the same in mindfulness. And the word mind in mindfulness is not just our thinking. It is all awareness. It is awareness of ourself internally, and it's an awareness of our environment and an awareness of other people. So how do we look at love from the point of view of the master teacher Jesus? He demonstrated love so often. Almost every moment of the Bible stories is his demonstrating love. And so some of what he said that is a great reminder to us of how loved we are is, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. He also looked at the people around him and said, with man, this is impossible, but not with God. All things are possible with God. Let us remember that. He also shared, I have told you these things so that you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. It's important for us to remember we live in this earthly form, this human form, but we're so much more, and there's so much more to life than just our world. And when we can tap into that, we find relief and love. He also said, therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. And we're often taught by spiritual teachers to not only believe that we've received it, but to cultivate the feelings as though we've already received it. So when we are seeking peace, it's helpful to breathe, it's helpful to find that peace and know it has been given. He also taught us, you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. I think that's especially important now to remember each of us is significant. We're significant to other people, to those we love, to our neighbors. Just like the castle built on a hill, we can't hide. We may be behind closed doors, but let's remember to reach out. Let's remember that we have the light that can be shared in love. And again, the reminder, everything is possible for one who believes. So I encourage all of us to become still at times and really examine, what do we believe? And get to the core of our beliefs about love and practice those deep, abiding loves. Practice giving away our heart, so to speak, and allowing ourselves to receive it when someone else is sharing their happiness. And so it is. So, Clint?
This is the Unity song I wrote about unity and especially Longmont Unity. Usually do this as a sing-along, but I'll just sing it out here. Unity, unity, Sunday, that's the place to be. Joyful spirits, you and me, surrounded by the light. Not much talk of guilt or sin, surely you'll be welcomed in. Greeted by a joyful grin, grounded in the now. Unity, unity, Sunday, that's the place to be. Joyful spirits, you and me, surrounded by the light. Jesus Christ, Mohammed too, Buddha has a special view. Sufi spirits shining through, united in the love. Unity, unity, Sunday, that's the place to be. Joyful spirits, you and me, surrounded by the light. So come on down to Unity, it's a great community. Singing helps your soul be free, enlightens up the heart. Unity, unity, Sunday, that's the place to be. Joyful spirits, you and me, surrounded by the light. Unity, unity, Sunday, that's the place to be. Joyful spirits, you and me, surrounded by the light. Surrounded by the light. Surrounded by the light.
Thank you, Clint.
So I'm seeing we have a four-legged audience member there. Delyn, was he enjoying that music? He or she?
So I would like to share a poem by Rumi. If I think of love and poetry, I definitely want to go to Rumi. It's called A Helper of Hearts. Don't look down on the heart, even if it's not behaving well. Even in that shape, the heart is more precious than the teachings of the exalted saints. The broken heart is where God looks. How lucky is the soul that mends the heart. For God, consoling the heart that is broken into hundreds of pieces is better than going on a pilgrimage. God's treasures are buried in ruined hearts. If you put on the belt of service and serve hearts like a slave or servant, the roads to all the secrets will open before your eyes. If you want peace and glory, forget about your earthly honors and try to please the hearts. If you become a helper of hearts, springs of wisdom will flow from your heart. The water of life will run from your mouth like a torrent. Your breath will become medicine like the breath of Jesus. Be silent. Even if you have 200 tongues in each hair on your head, you won't be able to explain the heart. So I've been thinking about two of my favorite words. One is liminal, and the other is chaordia. And I think I've been thinking of them because liminal is the space in between two spaces. So when you let go of one trapeze before you've caught the other, that is liminal. And liminal can occur within you or in your environment. And I think it's happening in both places right now. Liminal is that place where we are leaving one way of being and haven't yet landed in the next. It's a uncomfortable place, but it is a place of great creativity and majesty and grace. So when we find ourselves wondering, what's next, come back to here and now, for now. The other word is chaordia, and it is what exists between order and chaos. And it is the place where great creativity, music, art, love come out of. It's a messy, messy, messy place. But let us remember its richness as we find our way back to some kind of order. So at this time, let us all take a breath together. And we are going to go into our donation, which we are doing right now by placing our hands in our heart. And we are accessing the light and love that naturally resides in our heart and sharing that with the world. So imagine as you breathe in and out that that light and that love is expanding beyond you, beyond your home, into your neighborhood, into our town, into our state, beyond Colorado to our country, and allow it to expand over the whole world as we know it. And we take another breath together. And so it is. And we will close out with music by Clint. Thank you.
Well, I was trying to think of a way to tie this John Prine song into some theme, and I couldn't really think of anything other than I really like this song, and it kind of picks me up. It's a terrific portrait of a grandfather. It's called Grandpa Was a Carpenter. But the video you showed with the people working and keeping the world running, yeah, okay, so this is to them too. Grandpa wore his suit to dinner almost every day. No particular reason, he just dressed that way. Brown necktie, matching vest, bogus wingtip shoes. Built a closet on our back porch, put a penny in a burned-out fuse. Grandpa was a carpenter, built houses, stores, and banks. Chain smoked Camel cigarettes, hammered nails and planks. He was level on the level, shaved even every door. Voted rising hardware, told Lincoln won the war. Used to sing me blood on the saddle, rock me on his knee. Let me listen to the radio before he got TV. He'd drive to church on Sunday, take me with him too. Stained glass in every window, hearing aids in every view. one whole. Thank you, John Prine and all grandparents.